The gavel slammed against the desk like a death knell. Her lawyer smirked with victory, and she didn't so much as look at me while the judge signed away the house, the savings, and custody of the kids. When we walked out, she leaned close enough that only I could hear her whisper, "You'll never see the children again." Her laugh pierced deeper than the ruling itself. I stood frozen in the courthouse hallway, clutching the papers that shredded my future while everyone else moved forward. I couldn't. There was a time when her eyes held admiration for me. Back when I was starting my firm, burning through nights to build a legacy. She either believed in me or faked it well. We had a home on the coast, 2 kids who thought the world was safe, and what I thought was a marriage rooted in trust. But the fractures appeared slowly. Late nights, girls' trips, the cold distance in our bed, spreading like frost degree by degree. I ignored the signs, told myself my work had drained me, convinced myself she just needed space. But I was blind. She wasn't pulling away. She was building her case, turning the children into weapons, laying the groundwork for my exile. I knew the night her phone lit up. A text left face up on the counter. 3 words. "He's finally broken." Not written to me, written about me. That was her plan. Not just divorce, dismantling. Strip me of everything. Leave me penniless. Tear me away from my kids. Reduce me to nothing. When she filed, I didn't resist, not publicly. I let her paint me as the weak man she mocked, the image the court believed. She thought she'd won because she left with property and paper. But she never understood I've never been one to fight in plain sight. I packed what little remained and drove east until the money thinned out. I ended up in the basement of my late mother's house. Concrete walls, rusted furnace, a place even memories avoided. I started cleaning just to bring order. Dust, boxes, mildew. That's when I saw it, metal peeking behind the furnace. A seam in the wall. A safe, rusted but sealed. My hand moved before my thoughts did. I spun the dial, my birthday. Click. The door swung open as if it had been waiting for me. Inside sat a single envelope, my mother's handwriting on the front. "If you're reading this, they finally found you." I sank onto the cold floor, pulse hammering. She had never spoken of enemies or debts, but the letter explained everything. Years ago, she worked quietly as a financial clerk for powerful investors, men who shifted fortunes across borders through shell companies. She balanced their books until she didn't, until she skimmed off enough to build a hidden fortune, scattered across accounts no one could trace. She left it for me, not out of love, but necessity. One day, she wrote, "You might need this to fight." Inside the envelope, access codes, account numbers, deeds, corporations. More than $30 million buried under false names, untouchable to anyone without the keys. And now I had them. I didn't spiral. I didn't drink. I didn't rage. I studied. For months, I built quietly, transferring assets into new LLCs, buying property through proxies, investing under names that couldn't be tied back to me. The money grew silent, clean. I built influence in the shadows, move by move. Meanwhile, she flaunted her so-called victory. Photos of the kids in their new California mansion. Instagram captions about her fresh start. I never liked, never commented. Silence is the sharpest presence. When she remarried, a cocky venture capitalist with more arrogance than sense, I sent a congratulatory gift through one of my companies. A bottle of wine, expensive enough to sting his pride, since he'd never heard of me. My first quiet thread weaving into their perfect new life. Then came the custody battle. This time, I initiated it. She laughed at the notice, texting me, "You'll never win." She had no idea what I held. I hired the best lawyers, funded through entities she couldn't trace. I subpoenaed records she thought were untouchable. Her offshore spending, the hidden accounts under her new husband's name, the fraudulent tax filing she'd signed without reading. Every lie that built her castle, I turned into evidence. Step by step, I let her believe she was still in control, until discovery hit, until her husband's attorney dropped her over a conflict of interest, until the IRS began circling. On the day of a hearing, she walked in radiant, ready to humiliate me again. She didn't expect my lawyers to arrive with boxes of evidence. Didn't expect the judge's voice to shift as fraud, perjury, and concealed assets piled onto the record. Her face drained color with every page turned. I stayed silent, just as I had months earlier in that first courtroom. Only this time, it was her life unraveling. When the judge granted me joint custody, then full temporary custody pending investigation, she broke. She screamed across the room, her voice cracking, "You can't do this!" The gavel silenced her. I didn't flinch. I didn't smile. I simply stood, gathered my children, and walked out. She clawed at my arm in the hallway, trembling. "How? How did you?" I leaned in close, voice steady. "You laughed at the wrong man." And I left her standing there, shaking. That night, back in my mother's basement, the children asleep upstairs, I set her letter on the table. The ink had faded, but the message was sharp. She gave me the means. My ex gave me the motive. I looked around at the furnace, the concrete, the dust that once felt like failure. Now it felt like origin, not revenge, not justice. Something colder, something cleaner. I wasn't broken. I was rebuilt. And when she dreams of me now, she won't see the man she once destroyed in court. She'll see the man who waited in silence,